Welcome, welcome to the latest Focus On episode from Stihl. Today we're looking at brush cutters, and if you have any concerns about whether battery-powered ones can also deliver the same performance as petrol brush cutters, then you've come to the right place. Today we're going to give you an insight into the world of cordless brush cutters for professionals, of course. My name's Matt, and today I'm joined again by Paul from Stihl Product Management. Good to have you with us again, Paul.
Thank you very much, Matt. I'm looking forward to getting to grips with our brush cutter range here and talking about them in more depth.
Yes, indeed. Let's do exactly that then. Let's start with what they offer us. What's the most important things to note when we think about brush cutters?
Well, when it comes to any Stihl tool, we've been creating tools that are high quality and robust. They last a long time, that they have the power to perform a task and are comfortable and ergonomic for a user to use them for longer periods of time.
Important.
But when we focus particularly on brush cutters, these tools can cover a huge variety of tasks, whether it's trimming grass, clearing scrub or bushes, or even clearing small trees. So they've got to have the right cutting attachments at the business end to be able to perform that task and get it done. They've got to be comfortable for the user to use and be really well balanced and simple to get.
Particularly a big tool like this, right?
Exactly. And then they've got to ultimately have the power to get that task done, because they are doing some really, really heavy tasks. So they've got to have the power there to be able to complete it.
Okay, so you've told us a little bit about the different settings. Maybe you could tell us about the different products which are suitable for the certain application.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we've got our new FSA 400 clearing saw. This is our most powerful brush cutter to date in the battery power segment. So it's comparable in performance to the FS411 CEM petrol powered tool with 2 kilowatts electrical power. So they've both got 2 kilowatts, both capable of the same tasks. And with the AutoCut 46-2 mowing head here, we've got a cutting circle diameter of 52 centimetres.
52 centimetres, that's okay, so over half a metre. It's quite a stretch, right?
Yep, that allows you to make really, really swift progress through demanding tasks where you've got large areas to clear. But what's really important when you've got a large mowing circle diameter is the tip speed. So
tip speed is what?
The tip speed is the speed at the tip of the cutting attachment.
Right, makes sense, okay.
So being able to actually maintain that high tip speed allows you to be able to maintain performance of a tool and be able to cut through long parts of grass or scrub and get that task done efficiently and effectively and cut it rather than just tapping it over.
So it's not just about the power, it's about whether that power can get to the edge of the tip.
Exactly. It's about a combination of factors: mechanical power, maintaining the speed, and having a good quality cutting attachment as well.
I like it. Okay. And you've got a professional here in action. This is Michael, I'm reliably informed.
Yep, exactly. So Michael's here using the brush cutter as you would normally use it, clearing some scrub and some brush there.
He's getting through it easily, isn't he?
He is, and he's got a large cutting circle diameter, so he's able to make fast progress through the task and spend less time actually cutting.
Okay, but this one here on the table has got a different cutting attachment, right?
Yep, this FSA 400 has been fitted with our shredder blade and guard. So we've got a little video here to show you what it's capable of.
Okay, here we go. This is Marcus really going at it.
Yeah, so he's in the forest tending to some young trees. So he's making sure that all the areas around the trees are cleared of any scrub or any small bushes, just to make sure that those young trees really have the opportunity to flourish and get access to light and really grow.
And this cutting attachment then perfect for that?
Yeah, exactly. So that's just mulching and thinning down all the scrub that you don't really need, and you can easily manoeuvre nicely around all the trees, giving them the best opportunity to grow.
Okay, good to see what the shredder blade is capable of, certainly.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about the Stihl range, is we've got a huge range of cutting attachments. So with the FSA 400, there's over 10 different cutting attachments you can use for various tasks. So we've got line heads, blades, shredder blades, or even circular saw blades for different applications. But with our huge and extensive history in making brush cutters, we've got a large range of attachments that fit both those petrol tools and the battery power tools. So there's a huge amount of choice to pick the right cutting attachment for the right task.
So you can use the same cutting attachment on a battery powered tool and on a petrol powered tool?
Exactly, and we've got the power to be able to drive the larger attachments here as well.
Okay, but the one I see over your shoulder here has got a completely different cutting attachment on, right?
Yep, that's our new FSA 400K.
Right.
So that's a shorter shaft version with a clearing saw blade. So
Shall I
let's
get
take
it
a
up
look.
here?
Yeah, let's take a look.
You move that one out of the way. I'll put this one here. Yeah, actually, you notice that right away. It is a little bit shorter, isn't it?
Yep, and the K in FSA 400K stands for short shaft. So
Right.
these are for use in the forest, but we're no strangers to using professional brush cutters in the forest. We've had short shaft versions in our petrol-powered variants for many years now, but this is our first battery-powered variant with a shorter shaft. So that short shaft allows you to actually have the head or cutting head off the forest floor to be able to clear small trees.
Right.
So it allows you to be more ergonomic and move around the forest and trim those small trees really easily. But we've got a nice video here for Marcus explaining what he's going to be using the FSA 400K for.
We see here the example of the Douglas fir, which is very much under pressure from the beech. The beech is very dominant. We have to free the Douglas fir so that it can grow better and become more stable. It is important for us to create stable stands. The brush cutter is perfect for this. I can fell the beech trees and move them in one direction. It's the ideal tool for forest care.
Good job, Marcus. And then in this video, you can actually see him in action, right?
Yeah, so he's using the 2 kilowatts mechanical power to drive the circular saw blade and trim around the trees and actually clear small trees. So there's enough power to actually trim through or cut through the trunks of small trees, clearing the space for the other species of trees to really flourish.
Right. And he's pretty active with it, isn't he? I mean, really swinging it around.
Yeah,
quite high as well.
Exactly. So he's got it on a hip harness there, but the machine's really, really nicely balanced, so he can move it around really freely.
Okay, so we've seen some of the different applications, the different cutting attachments that you can use. Our question to you would be, what's your cutting attachment of preference when you're out and about using a brush cutter? How do you like to work? What are you working with? Let us know in the comments. That would be very interesting indeed. What would also interest me would be to know, is this it with regards to the range, or is there more?
No, certainly not. We've got a really vast range of different brush cutters intended for different purposes.
Right.
So we've got the FSA 200 behind me now. Let's swap these tools out.
Shall I get that for you?
Yep.
You put that back. I'll bring this up here. Okay, it's another longer one, I see.
Yeah, so this is the FSA 200. This one with a bike handle, but there is another variant available with a round handle. So we call that the FSA 200R.
Nice.
So that's used for going around smaller areas or trimming around trickier obstacles. So it's a little bit more agile, a little bit more mobile.
Got it.
Whereas this is for clearing large areas quickly and efficiently. But this FSA 200 has 1.6 kilowatts mechanical power.
Right.
It's also comparable in power to our petrol counterpart, the FS361. So again, we're doing what a petrol machine can do,
Yep.
but with battery power.
Yeah.
This is a lighter weight. So the FSA 400 is around 7 kilograms in weight, whereas this is 5.7 kilograms in weight. So it's a lighter tool overall.
Lighter, a little bit more handable, you know,
Yeah.
swingable, those kind of opportunities.
Yeah, more agile, more easy to manoeuvre.
Yeah.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
So we've got the FSA 200 in the range, and we also have the FSA 135. So if you want an even more agile tool, again with a bike handle or round handle, we've got that tool, which is 4.9 kilograms and 1 kilowatt mechanical power. So there's something for every task.
So depending on the task, you've got the tool suitable for it.
Exactly. You can pick different tools for different tasks, whether it be clearing trees in the forest or even just trimming around manicured lawns and just trimming the lawn edges. So there's something for everything. And that doesn't all end there at the FSA 135. We've even got lighter brush cutters or grass trimmers in the range that are the FSA 120 and also FSA 86. So there really is something for every brush cutting task.
I'll be honest with you, Paul, there's one situation with brush cutters that always makes me a little bit cautious. And that's maybe when I'm out and about in town with my car and I see somebody working, I'm kind of worried that stones or whatever are going to fly around, you know, chip my car or something like that.
Yeah, and that's a very common occurrence. So with a traditional brush cutter, the safe working distance from people, the public, or cars is around 15 metres.
Right.
So we've got another tool, the RGA 140, which has a different cutting head, a reciprocating cutting head that moves back and forth like a circular hedge trimmer.
Right.
That actually, rather than flinging the material away from the cutting attachment, the material drops into the cutters and cuts it and drops it down to the floor. So it's actually got a working distance from people of 5 metres or cars of 3 metres. So this tool's perfectly suited to working in cities, around pavements, around people, and also cars and windows, as accidents do happen, and minimising those accidents is really, really paramount.
It is. So we've got a clip of that, right?
Yep, we have.
In particular, that's interesting. Describe those blades again. The important part is in the middle, right?
Yeah, so it's like a hedge trimmer blade, but in a circle. The reciprocating cutters move back and forth, and the material drops into the cutters, and then you can see they just drop straight down rather than being moved away and around the brush cutter. So if you're working in cities, you're working around windows, working around people, it's a much safer tool to use. But also if you're going up against pavements, removing weeds and things like that, perhaps where you can't use chemicals or chemicals are not allowed, you can use that RGA 140 to move right up to the pavement, cut the weed down and leave nothing there. So.
I'll check out for the RGA 140 next time I park my car. Thank you, Paul.
Hopefully so.
So in this series of videos, the focus is on batteries. So can we talk about battery management, recharging, particularly when professionals are out in the forest, those kinds of situations?
Yeah, that's a really, really key topic, actually, because if you can't get back to the workshop to charge on a lunch break, then you need to take the power with you to the forest or to wherever you're actually doing the work. So we'll get the power bank up on the table. I'll put this FSA away.
Here it is. It's not light, but there it is.
This is our PS3000, and you're right, it's not light. It's got a huge energy density. It's got 3.6 kilowatts electrical power in there. When you're out in the field, this is
You're covered.
You really, really are. But we've got a great video here of Marcus. So Marcus has been out trimming young stands in the forest. He takes 2 batteries with him at all times. So 1 on the belt, 1 in the tool, but he needs 6 to get through his day's work.
Okay.
So as he comes to a natural break, he can pop the couple of batteries that he's used, 1 on the tool and 1 on the belt, into the AL301-4 multi-charger, and that charges the batteries in sequence.
Right, so one after another.
Exactly, one after the other that he has in the vehicle with him.
And you saw 3 of those PS3000s at the bottom there, right?
Yeah, so him and his colleagues can all charge and use their battery simultaneously, and there's more than enough for a day's work. So he's got no battery anxiety, or range anxiety as it's called in the EV world.
So how do you like to charge? What kind of options have they got, Paul?
Well, plenty of options. So if you're on the work site, obviously you need to take the power with you to the work site if you can't get back to the workshop. But if you're charging in the workshop, you may need to charge fast in your lunch break, so you need fast chargers. Or if you're charging overnight, perhaps a slower charger or multi-chargers, so you're not swapping out batteries during the night. So there's plenty of options in the Stihl battery charger range, and also power banks if you can't get back to the workshop to charge.
So you heard it here first. There are lots of options. Which is your preferred way to charge all of your machines? Let us know. We'd love to know. Okay, as you can see, we've kind of rearranged the workshop a little bit because we wanted to talk about ergonomics.
Yep, a very important topic if you're using brush cutters for a long time during the day. So you're wearing now the Advance X-Flex harness.
I am.
A really comfortable harness to make sure you can work for long periods during the day.
Yep.
And we've got the FSA 400 back again as well to show how you can hook into the brush cutter and make working more comfortable.
Okay.
So first of all, you've got the nice connection there, so you can easily clip into the tool.
I'm in.
Very little effort required. So you're now attached to the tool. You've got comfortable straps across your shoulders, a belt across your waist, and a chest strap, just to make sure it's balancing everything across your shoulders and your waist.
And there are lots of different places where I can adjust, can't I? So it really feels right.
A huge amount of adjustment. People are in all different shapes and sizes, male, female users and operators, so we've got to cater for everybody there.
Yeah.
So you've got a battery slot there, so not a live slot, just a pouch for carrying the battery on one side, the spare battery that is, and then you can of course put your battery in the tool on the actual FSA 400. On the tool, you can actually see here, 2 comfortable handles and an AV system, or anti-vibration system, as comfortable handles are really
They were important with petrol devices, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So an anti-vibration device separates the users from the vibration of not only the engine, but also the cutting attachment.
Right.
So this is really important. We still have that on a battery-powered machine to make sure vibrations are brought down to a minimum level, just to make sure operators are protected against vibrations from this machine.
Very nice.
Doing the work. And then on the tool, you've actually got lots of different holes here that you can actually mount the tool to make sure it's perfectly balanced for you and your working position.
So that would be different depending on the size of the operator and those kinds of things?
Yeah, size of the user, and also to some extent the battery you put in here. We've got different batteries, smaller capacity batteries, which are lighter or heavier batteries. So depending on the weight of the tool, the size of the user and the size of the battery, you can use the different mounting slots on there as well.
Well, I'm ready to go. I've got to say, it's pretty comfortable. And when can we start?
Yeah, we just need your PPE.
Okay, so that's the subject of ergonomics. What about quality? Really important to Stihl, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the first 3 things I said in this video. It's quality, ergonomics, and power. So quality is absolutely paramount when it comes to brush cutters.
So how do you go about ensuring that, and in particular checking for it?
Well, we make sure our machines go through a huge amount of testing before they go to the market.
Right.
So we've got a few test videos here, but when we talk about tests, there are certain standards machines need to meet before going on the market. But still, we make sure these tools don't only just meet the standards, but they exceed the standards.
I like it.
So the first video here we've got is a drop test video.
A drop test. So you literally take the machines and drop them.
Precisely that. So as you know, when a professional user's using a tool, they may drop a tool off the back of the van, or we may throw a tool into the back of the van. We recommend placing them in the van, obviously.
Of course.
But accidents do happen sometimes, so we need to make sure the tools are robust enough to withstand that. And as you can see from the video here, that FSA 120 there is more than up to the job, and that test is done a number of times as well.
I was going to say that would be repeated again and again to ensure quality, right?
Exactly, to make sure the machine stands up to the daily use and abuse that it may receive.
Talking about that daily use, for example, when the user is pressing the controls the whole time repeatedly, you've got a test for that as well, right?
Exactly, all the points of contact, so the switches and the buttons need to be pressed over and over again, or will be pressed through their life. So we do a test to make sure that those buttons and triggers can be pulled over and over and over again mechanically here, as seen in the video. That's just to make sure that the tool and all its components all work for the whole lifetime of the tool.
Makes total sense. And we've had the mowing head on the table most of the film today. That's tested as well, or certainly these parts, right?
Yeah, of course the mowing heads are tested, but also the mowing line is something that some people may not give a second thought to, but actually having robust mowing line that lasts a long time is a really key thing. We've got another test that we can look at here.
What's happening here?
So the mowing head's spinning round and coming into contact with a beach stick. So normally you're using mowing line to trim grass and not sticks, but we're making sure if you do come across that object in the grass that the mowing line doesn't prematurely break off.
Got it.
But a nice little hint here as well is something that we have had on the packets for some time is a little water icon, and that means you should drop your mowing line in water for 24 hours before use. In transport and perhaps in storage in the warehouse or the workshop, it does lose a little bit of a water content, so put it into some water for 24 hours and it makes it a little bit more malleable, a little bit more supple and less prone to premature breakage. So that's a top tip there.
Yeah, good hack. I like that. You heard that here first. And there's one final test you were telling me about, and that's if the blade comes across a piece of metal or something, right?
Yeah, of course. So the test we've got to show you here, make sure that the mowing blade stays in one piece if you hit anything that you perhaps don't want to hit. So if you're clearing scrub, sometimes there can be objects in there that you don't want to come into contact with. So this video shows the brush cutter and the blade in particular, when it's up to speed, being dropped onto a metal object. And the key thing is that the blade stays in one piece and doesn't break off into little pieces while spinning, as that would obviously be dangerous. So what we can see here is the blade staying in one total piece.
So the tests are important to know about the quality of the machine, but also the safety standards, right?
Exactly, and we try to exceed all the standards set for all the products, not just meet them.
Indeed, indeed. Amazing, really, particularly the longevity of the test, the amount of times you repeat them, those kinds of things. Really impressive. But let's be honest, it's different in a laboratory setting from in the real world, right? But you test out in the field as well, as I understand, right?
Yeah, of course. There's testing in the lab and testing in the real world are the two components that go hand in hand to make sure that the tools are robust and up to the job that the professionals really do expect. So we make sure before we go to market with a tool, a certain number are sent out into the market for professional users to use them and use them as intended and then give us feedback. But we don't only just take their feedback, we also fit a little orange box, a little bit like a black box in an aeroplane, that takes the data from the machine so we can learn about how that machine was used and use that data to make a better tool overall. So we take the lab data and the end user usage data with the data from the box and the verbal conversations we have with them to make sure that the tools are up to the job and doing the things that they want to do.
Excellent. So it's that combination of the objective data from the machine and that subjective real-world feedback from the user.
Precisely that.
Okay, and last but not least today, let's talk about service and support.
Yep, there's a huge amount of service and support worldwide for Stihl products. We've got a huge network of Stihl approved dealers who are trained by us to service and maintain and repair Stihl tools. So whatever the issue, or if it's just simple maintenance, they can give you a helping hand.
Very good indeed. And you mentioned the maintenance of the different parts, for example. How many parts here are replaceable?
Well, that's the great thing about Stihl tools, that they're designed to be easy to work on and all components to be replaced. So if a component does break, you don't have to throw away the tool and buy a new one. You can ask your Stihl approved dealer to repair it. So all these components aren't just expired as and when the machine expires. So if we stop making a tool, we support the spare parts for many years after that tool has been expired to make sure that the tool can be used for a long time.
And as I understand it, the machine can then actually tell you when it needs servicing, right?
Exactly that. So we've actually got a fleet management system called Stihl Connected, and on this tool we've got our Smart Connector 2A. That's a Bluetooth device that connects through to the Stihl Connected app, and it measures the working time for the machine. Keeps it all in the Stihl Connected app and in the cloud, so it tells you when your maintenance is due based on the working time of the tool. So for instance here I've got an FSA 200, and this tells me my total runtime, my runtime today, and also my upcoming maintenance. So for my upcoming maintenance, my first is to clean the air filter, and on this one it's got an air filter that can just be brushed off or blown away with an airline. I've also got lubricate the gearbox, which I can do just through the screw on the gear head here, and also complete a visual inspection, so I can quickly look over the tool, see if all components are intact and if it's good for service. And if something needs repaired, I can make an appointment with my Stihl approved dealer to repair it and also mark it as not functional in the app, so nobody takes it off and tries to use it.
Perfect, perfect. So you're always up to date, so to speak.
Exactly. You've always got a good digital overview of your entire fleet, so you can know what maintenance you've done, what maintenance is upcoming, and what tools you have in your fleet.
Fascinating stuff, as ever. Paul, many, many thanks for today.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to you. That concludes the episode today on brush cutters. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you learned a thing or two from Paul. Thanks for stopping by. Obviously, ring that bell and make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you get updated on any new Stihl Focus On content. But until the next time, from all of us here in the workshop, look after yourselves. Take care. Bye-bye.